Today we're taking a quick look to share my first impressions on Aputure's new Infinibar. So it's a whole new category of lights from Aputure, an entirely new product line. This will be available in 3 variants, the 1 foot PB3, 2 feet PB6, and 4 feet PB12, which is the long boy I've got here. When I saw this for the very first time, my first thought was, it's a supersized MT Pro. And it kind of is, except this was designed for quite a bit more scalability and made in a way that's friendlier to rig in an installation. But the name Infinibar actually describes the product really well, because this is an LED bar. It takes the shape of a cuboid, it's not the conventional cylindrical tube. Now, it's done this way, not for the sake of being extra, but having the light-emitting surface being flat means when you look at it, both in person and on camera, you'll get this perfectly sharp, glowing rectangle with no fall-off towards the sides like you would get with a tube light. The lit surface also extends all the way to the very edges of the hardware, hence the infinity in the name. It's also supposed to look more seamless when you join a few of these together. Now, I was told these are quite a bit more fun when you've got more than one to play around with, but you could supposedly use a splicing connector to daisy chain multiple Infinibars together, and the unit receiving direct current can send power to the lights downstream. So only one power connection needed for multiple lights, up to a certain limit of power draw. That being said, they do all have built-in batteries. I also noticed some heat warning labels printed on the fixture, as well as some overheat protection measures in the firmware. And that bothered me because that implies that these lights might run dangerously hot. So naturally, of course, I tried to burn myself using an Infinibar. I left the PB12 running on maximum for 1 hour straight, and to my disappointment, it only warmed up to around body temperature. So at least for indoor use, heat is not really an issue. I imagine the thermal protection measures do make sense for installations where the light's heat sink on the back is enclosed, or if you ever end up using one of these under the hot sun for some reason. Because these Infinibars, they are passively cooled, there's no fans in them running to keep them cool. Also, usually when people talk about lights that are 4 feet long, they tend to rig them up so you don't have to hold them in your hands for the duration you're doing the taping, but I didn't know what to do with my hands, so here we are. This 4 feet PB12 has 96 pixel zones. That is a very impressive resolution for such a long light. It is an absolute playground to run pixel effects on. It's full RGB WW. In fact, I'm actually quite curious what's going on under that front diffusion panel, because I can guarantee this is at least a few diodes wide. Unfortunately for my curiosity, but fortunate for everything else, that front diffuser is doing its job really, really well. Also, being one of the Pro offerings, it does get RGB mode in addition to CCT and HSI modes. No XY mode built into the light though, for some reason. You can dim the light in 0.1% increments directly from the back of the light. You can, of course, also control it via Sidus Link, but this also has CRMX built in. However, if you want to use it with wired DMX, then you will need to buy an additional USB-C to 5-pin DMX adapter. This PB12 is substantial, it weighs a good 2 kilograms, yet it does have mounting magnets on the back. Really strong magnets. I would very much recommend being very careful with these. There is also a clamp which gives the light a baby pin to mount from. You can reposition this anywhere along the length of the light, and to charge or power the light, you'll need to use the included DC adapter. Powering it through USB did not work for me. So that is my first impressions of the rather impressive Infinibar PB12. As usual, links below, and I'll be seeing you around.